Crime is a co-op crime-solving game for 1 to 4 police officers. FYI, you'll need a phone or a tablet to play this one. Lucky Duck Games provided this copy in exchange for an honest review. Put the Scotland Yard location card below the main board. Keep the other location cards close. Put the character, evidence, and special item cards nearby. Keep the friends and contacts within reach. The rules say to hand 1 to each player, but that's up to you. Start the case in the app. To avoid spoilers, I'll focus on the tutorial. The chief officer will tell you about the victim, a crime scene, or both. Set those cards out on the game board at their appropriate locations. You can ask characters about other characters or items, but not locations. Once you scan a location, you'll be asked if you'd like to travel there. Traveling takes 20 in-game minutes, and asking about items is 5. In other words, tasks take time, and sometimes you don't have much time to solve cases. When you visit a location, you'll read a paragraph or 2, and it'll often mention at least 1 character. Set those cards on top of the location card. If it's a crime scene, you'll also have the chance to search for clues. One player will move the phone around looking up, down, and all around, yelling out everything seen to the other players, and they're digging through and setting aside the matching evidence category cards. You have a time limit, so be quick. Afterwards, scan each card to see if it's actually related to the case. Some cases have special items. You'll discover these by showing the right clue to the right person or at specific locations. To help you crack the cases, you have 4 forensic contacts. The criminologist explains how a character's mind works, the scientist gives you details on items, the hacker can get into electronic devices, and the doctor provides information on the body and medicine. Once you think you solved the case, head back to Scotland Yard. You'll be asked questions and answer by scanning the correct cards. Afterwards, you'll see your score and the full story. Scan cards, piece clues together, and solve crimes. That's Chronicles of Crime. Chronicles of Crime doesn't have player areas, but the board and locations mean you should save this for dining tables. The box has 60 to 90 minutes, and our average game is 90 minutes, including setup and takedown. Save hard cases, maybe medium too, for weekends, but I think easy ones could be played on weeknights. It says 12 and up on the box. There's no map, but a lot of reading. At least grade 4 level, with a handful of difficult words. There are murders, and the art is realistic-ish, but not gory. Some cases are pretty disturbing, and there are some complicated plots. I'd say some kids my age will be fine, but even some adults will find this too much. Parents should play this first and decide for themselves if their kids are ready. I think that if your kids can handle the Star Wars movies and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, they might be okay, but the topics are more realistic, which can be frightening for some people. Before playing Chronicles of Crime, I didn't know how important time would be. Arrived too late? Sucks to be you. That person's gone. Left a scene before gathering all the clues? Somebody ransacked the crime scene. Depending on how much time you spent talking to people or how many times you interviewed them, you get attached to the characters. In our game, we lost someone, and it hit me hard. I was pretty sad for the rest of the game. For a while afterward, too. As you saw and heard earlier, the mechanisms for Chronicles of Crime are really simple. Even if the gameplay is complex, the app tells you what to do. I can't say enough good things about the tutorial. Once you've gone through that, you're set. We had a serious problem with the app during Curse of the Pharaoh. I'll talk more about this in a bit, but otherwise, the app was good. The soundtrack is awesome, and I'm glad the history lets you reread parts. Searching for clues is great. There isn't much more to say than that. There are 3 cases. One has 3 chapters, and the tutorial, plus downloadable cases, plus expansions, plus the ability to make your own cases. This game is endless. The Noir expansion came out around March, and I'll have a review of that up in a few days. Welcome to Redview might also be in stores by the time this review goes up. Speaking of the cases, I like that there are standalone ones and one that has multiple parts. You don't need to feel pressured to sit forever around a table. My parents love Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which I've never played, which has players reading newspapers, trying to piece together the mystery by figuring out the important clues in a massive pile of information. This is a lot like that game, but you can play 2 cases here in the time it takes to play 1 in that game. I touched on this in story time, but I love that some doors close and some open, depending on your choices. Let's talk about the app again. In Curse of the Pharaoh, we knew what we had to do, but couldn't figure out how to do it. We looked on Board Game Geek. Yep, others were having the same problem. Some were like, talk to her, then scan the card. Others were like, don't talk to her, just scan the card. We spent an hour either running around in-game or searching this online. We finally gave up and just returned to Scotland Yard to solve the case. It was the first case we did after the tutorial, and it made an awful first impression. I'm so glad we continued because the rest was phenomenal. One last thing, I talked about this in my DropMix review, but what happens if the app is no longer supported? Is your game lost forever? Actually, no. If you download all the cases ahead of time, you don't need an internet connection to play. That's a huge relief. Chronicles of Crime is like a better version of Time Stories. Like that game, it's not as interesting once you play it a second time, but you don't have luck ruining the experience. It's also a much better value. Chronicles of Crime is like Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, but has less rating and is much shorter. Unlike Sherlock, I bet I could play this with my French relatives. I could read the phone to myself, then translate it to them, and then we could all talk about what to do. In other words, if you like storytelling games without much luck, with lots of decisions, and enjoy mysteries, this is the best choice for you.